Guys, today we're acting how hard is Geometry Dash. So we're going to see right now. I know this one.
Geometry Dash is a very simple game. Geometry Dash is a very simple game. At its core, you are a cube. Click and you jump. The objective is to get to the end of a level. But there's a catch. If you touch a single triangle or hit the floor wrong, you have to start over. You have to go from nothing. Make sure you dodge all the spikes and click everything perfectly. Manage your nerves as you near the end and finish the level. And when you do, when you finally do, you get a feeling of such incredible happiness that is so unique to this game.
That's okay.
But how do we get to that point? There's many different skills that you need to have, besides just timing, in order to beat certain levels in the game, that might not be very obvious to the unfamiliar eye. So just how hard is it, and how hard does it get?
It gets really hard, I'll tell you that. That's what it gets. Oh my! Who edited this? Feeling, you've beaten. Oh
Robtop, the sole developer of this game, created these faces to represent difficulty in Geometry Dash. These difficulties range from easy.
I need to see that. Oh, that's what it said. Oh my!
Robtop, the sole developer of this game, created these faces to represent difficulty in Geometry Dash. These difficulties range from easy to insane. Easy levels typically only have 1 or 2 game modes in the entire level and act as a starting point for new players. You might see the cube game mode, where, of course, you click to jump, or maybe the ball game mode, where you click to switch gravity. Insane levels, all the way over here on the other side of the spectrum, may have a larger mix of harder game modes, such as the wave or the ship game mode, as well as other elements such as orbs and portals that all change the fundamental gameplay in some way. Now, you'd think you'd be able to point to the one on the end here and say,
"Look, this is the hardest difficulty in the game."
This is what the scale looked like when the game first released. But as the community grew better at the game, Robtop had to create a new difficulty icon. And just like that, the demon difficulty...
Look, there's the hardest difficulty, right there.
Oh my god, okay, chill. We're not there yet, but we'll get there. We're not there yet, okay? Stop talking. This is not the hardest difficulty. In a following update, Robtop had to add even more difficulty faces. He added the demon difficulty subcategories, ranging from easy to extreme demon.
Right there! Oh my god, this video is pointless! That there is the hardest difficulty! Oh my god!
Yeah, get rid of him.
Now, in terms of the average player, you might be able to beat an easy or maybe a medium demon in a couple of hours. The hardest levels in the base game, the demon ones, are these 3, and are often some of the very first demons that players ever beat. Now, it's worth noting that even though they do have the icon of a hard demon, in reality, these are considered easy demons. Jinxie, a very popular streamer who has never touched the game before, was able to beat his first easy demon in a little over 120 hours of playtime, which he then proceeded to violate his tens of thousands of viewers live on Twitch and YouTube.
Right. Yikes!
This is usually where an average player would lay in terms of maximum skill. Demons in general are known for their abnormal difficulty, requiring you to memorize where to go and when to click some very tight timing. You're also forced to adapt to gravity changes, understand the physics of the hardest game modes, and commit all of these elements to muscle memory. Eventually, through enough playtime, you'll be able to adapt to these gameplay factors that you once knew nothing about. Each step in this staircase of difficulties is small, but it's enough to make the player feel good about themselves after taking one. Maybe you learned how to play a certain game mode. Maybe you found the best way to learn levels fast. Or maybe you learned where to look on your screen for the most precise and accurate clicks. Every single step here teaches you something, and that's
I
what
think
makes
you
this game
should
feel so
learn,
good
like,
and so
like,
addicting to play.
Where my thing is going up.
Pushed. The community.
There we go.
And now, watch me beat it this time. The things you learn get harder and harder, but the accomplishments feel better and better. But the one thing I want to focus on today is here. At the very top of the steps lays the Extreme Demon. This difficulty here, it can't be put into words how hard beating an Extreme Demon is. There are so many little factors, so many different little things that you need to know to even begin to play the easiest levels at this difficulty. Things that you might not realize you needed to know, which we're gonna go over in a minute. And yes, while Extreme Demon is the hardest difficulty of level that is currently in the game, there are many different levels with this title, and they're not all equally hard. They really are not all equally hard. To put into perspective this difference, the difficulty gap between Stereo Madness and AQ, which is one of the easiest Extreme Demons in the game, that gap there is smaller than the gap between AQ and the hardest Extreme Demon in the game. Realistically, RobTop needs to continue adding more unique difficulties beyond Extreme Demon, but that's hard to sustain due to the human limit always being pushed. The community has tried to make their own difficulty icons before, but
What the fuck?
We can make it straight both, bro.
What? There's just like 20 of the same one that just have like a slightly darker shade of red.
I don't know what we're thinking about these. What is that, bro?
Auto Demon? What the fuck does that even mean? yeah, that one. Click on that one.
That was fire.
This isn't even Geometry, actually.
So in order to truly rank every single Extreme Demon in order of difficulty, the community came together to create this, a comprehensive list ranking every Extreme Demon in order of how hard they are. And the very easiest Extreme Demon, which we're going to start off with today, is this. I'm going to turn myself from an audio visualizer. If you saw my last video, you recognize this. But I'm going to turn myself from this into a Geometry Dash icon, because that's what everyone seems to be doing nowadays.
Okay, you can come on up.
No. Yeah, it's better. Now, without touching into every difficult level in the game, because, that would take forever, let's start with the very bottom of RDL to sort of establish a basic knowledge of extremes with a level called Red World. Now, if we look at the factors that make this level an extreme, it's long, has choke points, and introduces a never-before-seen custom game mode. Whoa, that looks difficult. It appears to be using the ball game mode to switch gravity in a smooth motion, as if it's swinging. This level starts off extremely easily. Well, easy for an Extreme Demon. With some relatively simple ship and ball gameplay. This gameplay alone would be about 6, 7, maybe even an 8-star difficulty. You move on to some triple spikes. Still not that difficult. These triple spikes are seen in even some of the easiest levels in the game.
You probably know that
Then you
game
move
mode,
past
that
into what seems to be the most
that
insufferable choke point of the entire level,
made
and
up
then
game-
end off with
game mode,
another
that
choke
game
point.
mode
And then
is
another.
now a serious
While this
game
is the
mode.
easiest
The
Extreme
swing
Demon,
game
these
mode,
choke points
that-
of pointless garbage
Pretty
make it
much no.
extremely unfun to play.
And
Usually, in a normal level, these things would go through playtesting, so that the
Absolutely.
level creator can balance out all the difficulty spikes to make the level more enjoyable. However, this level was so hard that it was uploaded to the servers with a hacked verification as an impossible level. Okay, I'm ranting. That's the history lesson behind Red World. This level has some pretty difficult timings, but it's not intense. It's mainly carried by its hard clicks, none of which are frame-perfect clicks, but we'll get into that soon, as well as its tight ship gameplay and swing copter choke points. That's all this level really has going for it. Red World, while still being very, very difficult, has absolutely nothing on what we're going to talk about here in a minute, and barely even scratches the surface of the difficulty of Geometry Dash levels. Speaking of which, what's next on our list? Let's do an activity. You're going to help me make a really mediocre transition into what we're going to talk about next. Think back to a happy moment of your life. A fun hangout with your friends. Maybe a first kiss. Maybe installing Geometry Dash for the first time. Maybe uninstalling Geometry Dash for the first time. What you just accessed in your mind is called a memory. Geometry Dash has found a way to take these things and put them into levels. Memory demons are a genre of level that you cannot sight read. They require you to memorize when to click, usually through trial and error. Looking back at Red World, we could see when to jump. It's more or less readable, like these triple spikes here that you need to jump over or this god-awful swing copter. You have a visual path here to go along, and the limits of this path are more or less obvious. Memory levels are where those concepts go to die. Depending on how memory-based a memory level is, you are forced to build muscle memory on where to click based on very little visual or auditory cues, if any. Take a look at this segment here. This is a level called Unleash Whale Whales. Tell me which block you should go onto next. This is a very important decision. If
Oh.
you get this wrong, you have to restart. The stakes are very high. Oh, you don't know? Well, this is just one jump.
Oh,
If you want to attempt beating this, you have to memorize
Man,
the
I
right
got it
paths
wrong.
for hundreds of these jumps, for a little under 2 minutes. This is the entire level. And you want to know the best part? This doesn't even break the top 1,000 hardest levels in the game. These memory levels come in many different shapes and forms. For example, this is Super Probability level, where you have to memorize where the real borders are because all the ones you see here are fake.
To jump in the air. That level. Ad. Yeah, that and ad was pretty delayed. I just thought I'd say
Here's another one. You may think to yourself, oh, this man is simply floating. No, he's hitting jump orbs, dodging spikes, and constantly switching game modes in a completely invisible level. For 5 minutes. And you want to know something crazy?
Wait.
This doesn't even break the top 750.
My mum's calling me. I need to get petrol with my mum. I'll see you in the car, I guess. See you at the petrol station. That was long. Very long.
Break the top 750.
It's
It's okay though. It's mainly clicking to the beat of this nice song and enjoying these cute birds flying around. You know, how hard could an invisible level possibly get?
Damn, it's lagging. It's lagging because I touched on it.
Sorry, one moment. Hello?
And also, I need to pause it and it took like pretty much an hour or an hour and a half or half an hour. Anyway,
Of Ambrosia. Yeah, what's that?
so don't see you at the station, at the petrol station. I'll see you when I'm back because I'll be ordered up.
Give me a second. I'm looking this up right now. How are you supposed to know where to go? Okay, chill. It cannot be that hard. Let's take a peek under the curtain to see what the layout actually looks like. Okay, now usually this level of gameplay is probably about hard or maybe insane demon level, but it's difficult to judge a skeleton when it's covered by all that flesh and blood. In other words, it's much harder than you think when a level is completely invisible. So, yeah, we're gonna put that right back.
$65, $66, $80, $81, $82, $83, $93.
No! What? No!
No.
Agony. Looping all the way back to the start. Anger in knowing that you had that, and yet the only person you could blame is yourself. You died at the end of a level because you couldn't manage your nerves. Who knows how long it'll take for you to get back to that point again. Now you have to learn nerve control. There's many levels that exploit this particular skill, but it's most commonly seen in long levels. And if it's an extreme demon you're playing, it makes it even harder to control your nerves near the end of a level. The Geometry Dash community, specifically content creators, have actually used this factor as a way to create more immersion and entertainment in their content. By buying a heart rate sensor or something else that could record heart rate and setting it up on your recording software, you could see in real time when the player locks in and needs to control their nerves. The highest recorded heart rate in the Geometry Dash community at the time I'm saying this is 229 beats per minute, which, I had my suspicions, it's actually not healthy at all. Even during exercise, it's well over what's considered dangerous. Without proper nerve control, high heart rate like this can actually put your life at risk, and more importantly, it makes levels harder and can ruin a deep run. Geometry Dash levels are most
Guys, my little brother is in the room right now.
which is anywhere from
You can
1 to
hear
2
him.
minutes long. But anything past 2 minutes is an XL level, and this is where nerve control becomes
Also,
a
I'm
little
doing
more
the face of Viola
Light
on
travel
100
is one of these
subs.
levels. Considered a true test
100
of endurance
subs.
and nerve control, this yellow level is 9 minutes of gameplay, with
Just
chunk points,
decided
with
it.
the last part being some really, really tight wave gameplay. You want something harder? Here's one, which is just named Death.
Level Devil, I have it. We should do a live on that when I have 50 subs.
A really tight
Should
wave
do a
gameplay.
live on that.
You want something harder? Here's one,
Difficult,
which is just
painful.
named Death. It's 9.5 minutes long. The most egregious of examples is Eon. This level is around the 800th hardest in the game at the time I'm saying this. Now, knowing that, I want you to
Damn.
guess how long this level is.
55 minutes.
Whoa, you're right on the money. It's 55 minutes long. That's only 1% of progress every 33 seconds.
Real quick, it's me editing this. I know 33 seconds doesn't sound like a long time, but keep in mind, most of your attention spans are less than 30 seconds. Come on. Like, when's the last time you sat through a full-length ad, okay? Like, while you were brushing your teeth, maybe you set your phone down to stand up to wipe your ass. That doesn't count. Imagine sitting through 110 ads. And speaking of ads, half of you probably just got an ad right now because I placed one right here. Or I'm going to place one right here. I'm not done editing this yet, but yeah, 30 seconds is a long time.
Sure, the gameplay is like boring and easy, but it spikes in difficulty during the last 12%, and most of the challenge is in the length itself. There's harder, super long levels in the game, but don't worry, we'll get to those later, so calm down. But this is why nerve control is
Why
such
is
an
it
important
lagging?
factor in a
What?
level's difficulty. Imagine spending thousands of attempts on a single level, listening to the same song over and over, putting in hours and hours trying to beat it. You finally get past that one extremely hard part in the level, and you physically start feeling your heart pounding in your chest. You know that it could take days, even weeks, to get another shot at this. The sweat forming between your hand and a single button is causing you to lose grip. You can suddenly feel the clothes resting on your body, the placement of your other hand on your desk, and the more you think about these things, the more focus you lose. It's getting harder to see the things on your screen properly, and you notice the delay between your clicks, and...
No! What? No!
agony. Looping all the way back to the start.
Mute.
We're going to start ramping it up here. The
Mute
one thing you
Solar.
could expect from a Geometry Dash level is consistency. The same
But why is it
gameplay
like
every run. It's how you practice. But there are some levels where that's not the case. Random elements are by far one of the most difficult factors in a level. It takes the linear element of Geometry Dash, the start and the end, and adds a whole other layer of complication to it.
What are you doing up
Instead of
there?
learning a singular path, you have to prepare yourself for all of
He
the
always does
possibilities.
it.
RDL actually has a collection of categorized packs of levels that have random elements in them, scaling based on difficulty. Dark Odyssey is an extreme demon in the lowest difficulty randomizer
doing?
pack with one random segment. This. Right here during this wave, you have to look down here mid-gameplay and read these 3 arrows, and then punch in the code a little later to pass. Now this is a very small instance of randomness in a level that I felt was worth mentioning. But what if it's more than just this small section? Here comes Fog. An already difficult extreme demon with low visibility, rapid gameplay, and super precise inputs. This level is stupid hard, constantly switching between the hardest game modes with really tight choke points. At 90%, right at the peak of your nerves, 1 of 5 random symbols will flash on your screen, each one corresponding to their own unique, completely invisible path that you have to take. What most people do is they try to learn it on the spot by reading the pattern here by just pausing the game.
Damn, how would
But
you
okay, if Fog is in randomizer pack 4, what could possibly be harder than that?
Wait, I'm gonna fix
The Art
this.
of
Wait,
the
I'm gonna
Blade,
fix.
already hard memory demon, even harder than Fog. You have to pay very close attention to 3 different
Yeah,
pieces
fixed
of
it.
decoration
Okay,
within the
we're
level.
good, we're good.
The 3 elements are the
No,
color
we're
of
not.
this shrine gate, the color of this tiny square that's barely even on the screen, and the color of this arrow. Each element has 4 possible colors, giving you a total of 64 different combinations. Okay, why do you need to know this? Well, at 63%, right as we get the last element that we need, you're faced with 16 columns of dark spots, and each of the 64 combinations is a code that you have to input by touching specific spots. Mind you, you have to spam as hard as you can as to not hit the wrong spot. So, what people usually resort to doing is recording their gameplay, looking at all of the different elements, taking each element and putting them into a custom program until you get a code, then resume the game trying to input the correct code. And that's the easiest of the 3 in this randomizer pack.
the hell?
Coalescence is a top 100 level. The entire thing is 4 times speed, forcing you to play some of the hardest gameplay at speeds that you can't even really process. However, the ending is very similar to Fog, except instead of one pattern that's played out, you are randomly shown 5 of 9 possible symbols, as well as their gameplay. Mind you, to get to this point, you have to play top 100 worthy gameplay while paying attention to these patterns. Then, when you hit this dash orb, the level shuffles these patterns and does not show you the gameplay for each pattern. And you're on a dash orb. You can't pause and unpause the level like you can in Fog, or it kicks you off the orb and you die. Now, there's only a handful of people in the world that can actually play this gameplay at the end, but to memorize a code while doing it,
Wow.
Amplatron, the creator and verifier of this level, practiced for the ending by creating a custom program to learn each of the patterns. While this level is within some of the hardest ever in the game, there are 2 more extremely noteworthy levels that have random elements in them that I'm going to talk about here very shortly that are somehow even harder than this. These
Damn.
levels have much more significant elements
This
of
is a good
randomness in them, but they're on a
Video.
whole different tier
Very
of
good
difficulty
video
that
and
we'll get
good
into
editing,
right
I gotta
now.
say.
Simply
Oh.
Guitar is the best app for
I
beginners.
thought
This
Simply
was me
Piano
before
was
I got
only
it.
a thing.
Then you just
What?
put your fingers here and start playing.
Wait, what? Like this?
Nah, I kind of want to see that ad. I wanted to.
First, we have to understand some terminology. What is a frame perfect?
I know
Geometry
what it
Dash's
is.
engine checks for a collision 240 times a second. This is the game's TPS, or ticks per second. Hey, so I spent the last 3 days editing and
What
making
my
visuals for
iPad's
this
friends.
upcoming explanation on what exactly a frame
Oh.
perfect is. And it's cool. It's 2 minutes of really
Oh my
high quality
phone.
footage. It's 2 minutes. It's a lot of work. And right as I was getting more
Do I have a
background
phone
footage,
or
I thought to
iPad?
myself like, this doesn't match up with my script. So I
I
plugged the
think
entire
I
thing
know.
into ChatGPT, and it turns out it's just wrong.
But
and
I'm
ChatGPT
sidelined,
wasn't
so I
holding
don't
back. It
know.
was beating my ass like a drum. Really kicking me while I'm down. Really, and rubbing it in. You see all this effort, all this beautiful work, these beautiful visual trash. I'm pissed, but I can't really blame anyone other than myself. I used 2 sources of information. I used a Reddit post and a YouTube video. And the YouTube video, it turns out the YouTube video, I didn't realize, it's 5 years old and it's outdated. And the Reddit post is just wrong. This dude's just wrong. And, I'm pissed. So just know, a really brief explanation to what a frame perfect actually is. The game checks for collisions and inputs at 240 times a second. If you click, you jump on the next tick. There's a setting that lets you click between ticks. It's called CBF, but it's only really used by like the super duper good players and the super duper hard levels. Now, a true frame perfect is a 1-tick window, essentially. Now, the reason I confused myself is because the Geometry Dash community uses a mix of old terminology and new terminology to, explain timings, which I think is stupid. So just know when you hear like a 60 FPS frame perfect, it's this long. Yeah, the flash on your screen, it's this long. That's it. About 16 milliseconds. 120 is 2 ticks, so 8.3. 240 is 1 tick, so 4 milliseconds. And any other smaller timing than that requires this setting. And mind you, a hummingbird flaps its wings 50 to 80 times a second, where every flap of a wing takes about 12 to 20 milliseconds. That's 3 times the window of timing you have to click a 240 frame perfect. Think about that for a second. That's how fast these players are clicking. Editing's hard. Please subscribe. Please. If you're confused, don't worry.
Just
It's a really
sub
hard
to this
concept to
guy.
explain
Sub
properly,
to
so
this.
my bad. But just know, when talking in terms of timing,
What
this is some
happened?
of
Yeah,
the
sub, I already
absolute
have
smallest,
some. No, I
and they
haven't.
can be
Sub.
used to understand how precise
Let's
you
give
have to
him a
be in a
like.
level.
Let's give him
Earlier
a
in this
like.
video, I said that the skill gap between Aku and the hardest extreme demons is bigger
Can
than the
someone
stereo
look,
madness.
what's happened? Well, I don't know what has happened.
Bigger than the
I tried to
stereo
go on the
madness to a
video,
Q gap. It's because of frame perfects.
What's
You
happening?
probably won't be able to find a single frame perfect
Huh?
click in any
I'm
of
gonna fix
RDL.
it.
That's how hard it gets. Now,
I'm
with
gonna
that being
fix it. It's working now, but I didn't need to do anything.
up to this point, we've discussed various difficult levels with their own gimmicks. Whether it be memory-based, fast-paced gameplay, or long levels, there's many aspects to a Geometry Dash level that make it hard. However, there are levels that push many of these at once to their absolute human limit. Starting off with one of the most popular levels ever, Limbo is a bright and vibrant memory demon. The entire level is either impossible to sight read or extremely hard to navigate. It's over 3 minutes long and has a whole 11 frame perfects, according to this guy, and it's most famous for its randomized ending. Not only do you have to hit a 16 millisecond window 11 times throughout the course of 3 minutes, but you have to follow that up with playing this legendary ending. Near the end of the level, you will see a key glow green. You have to follow this key with your eyes, and yes, every movement and shuffle here is completely randomized. There is no possible way to prepare for this segment. And while you follow the right key with your eyes, you also have to simultaneously play the hardest game mode, clicking at a bare minimum of 6 times a second as to not die. And you can't click at a steady rate. You have to vary your click rate perfectly in order to avoid crashing into these mounds of spikes. And now you're here. You have to choose which key is the correct one, assuming you followed it correctly. Now, unlike Fog, you cannot pause here. This mechanism here grabs you, and if you let go for even a single frame, you die. Much like how the dash orb works in Coalescence. You have to let go when the key of your choosing glows in order to make your selection. If you pick wrong, however, if you made it to the end, watched the keys shuffle, tracked it with your eyes, and chose the right key after all of that,
Can you do it? You did it.
So, let's check off the list of skills that you need to be one of the
Wow.
absolute best at in order to beat this level. Memory, check. Timing, check. Nerve control, super check. And most importantly, focus. Let's go up a little more.
Before it was Womba.
This is a level called Poopawamba. What you're seeing right now is footage of a frame-perfect counter for the level. This is absolute needlepoint gameplay that you're watching right now. Not only do you have to land 35 frame perfects, but it consists of some of the hardest gameplay of the hardest
I don't
game modes
know.
in the game. So what makes this level harder than Limbo? Well, this level also has random decorations, just like the Art of the Blade. Specifically, 5 of them. Now, there is something I'm not telling you. All of the footage you have seen of this level so far has just been gameplay. It's the layout for the level. I needed to show you this so you can get a grasp on how hard this is to play. This isn't what you see when you're playing the level. This is what you see. Poopawamba is currently the hardest memory level in the game. This level gives
thought it was
so
Limbo.
little visuals while expecting you to hit frame-perfect jumps.
thought it was Limbo.
As for the 5 decorations on the level, you have
What?
to keep track of these 5 elements that may or may not appear in
it's
the
not
level as you play.
Limbo.
Yes, they are randomized every attempt.
It's
Then,
not
at the very
Limbo.
end, you have to
What?
remember
No,
which
that's
elements were
my
present
whole
in your
life
run,
has been
and jump
dance.
through
I
these
thought it was Limbo.
frame-perfect gaps and hit a button
What?
mid-jump for each
What?
decoration that didn't appear. And if that wasn't enough, the order in which you input the decorations is also completely randomized, so you need to know which decoration corresponds to which number. The level of insanity you have to go through to even think of attempting this level is insane. You can see nothing, have to hit repeated frame-perfect jumps, keep an eye on which decorations are there or not there while you play, and manage your nerves as you input them at the end. Albeit, it's not as long as Limbo, and yet it is placed in the top 10 hardest levels in Geometry Dash. Speaking of length, there's another level that I want to talk about here. Flame Wall is the highest test of endurance in the entire game. Not only does it have double the amount of frame perfects as in Poopawamba, these frame perfects are spread out across 7 minutes of extremely fast gameplay. According to the verifier, it took him over 20 months to verify this, and for good reason. This level is so intense for so long that Cuatrocientos literally had to take breaks to wipe the sweat off of his hands and keys. Compared to the slower-paced gameplay of Bubawamba, Flame Wall is always so much faster, forcing the player to harness excellent nerve control, hit insanely tight timings, maintain stamina, and resolve. And if it wasn't bad enough, at the very end of the level, there is a straight fly, where you have to perfectly balance the time your clicks are pressed down and lifted up, in order to fit through this extremely small gap at the end. The verifier died at 99% right here while trying to verify this, which had to be devastating. Not once, by the way. He died there twice. But on September 21st, 2025, after getting an attempt 6 minutes in,
Wow. He beat it. You know, if I tried doing that, I would probably fail on the first click. If I tried it my whole life, if I could have been alive for 1,000 years, and I tried it since I was born, I wouldn't have beaten it still.
this is a good demonstration of how important nerve control can be in this game. Flame Wall is currently
That's
the
what it's
second
clever
hardest
is.
level in the entire game, right under a level called Thinking Space 2. Now, compared to the other levels that we covered today, Thinking Space 2 is actually one of the shortest ones. Really, this level has no gimmick at all. It has a relatively clear path, shows its limits well, so where does the difficulty come from? Pure skill. This level is all rapid timings, and it is the current human limit. These clicks are so rapid that there's even a part right here where you have to have a second input to click fast enough to avoid dying. So, how many frame perfects does Thinking Space 2 have? It's gotta be way more than Bubawamba, Flame Wall, and all these insanely difficult levels, right? This level has some of the hardest timings ever in Geometry Dash. I can't really explain how hard this is. To put into perspective just how hard you have to play, I was looking through YouTube and I found this video. What you are watching right now is the verifier and the first victor of Thinking Space 2 with their winning runs on top of each other. You can't even tell that there's two sets of gameplay here. It is that precise. This is the current human limit of Geometry Dash. But what if I told you it can get even harder? As you may know, in order for a level
Okay. Wait, I did it. I forgot something. Took away the lag.
been beaten at least once to confirm
The
that it
lag
can
should
be
be
done.
the lag
Every day,
for
there are
either.
people trying to verify the next hardest level. And at the time I'm saying this, the biggest race in Geometry Dash's history for the top one spot is happening right now. Levels like Grief, Heliopolis, Angelicide, Cosmos Unleashed, Society, and so many more are having hundreds of thousands of attempts poured into them to take that top spot first, with many of them being extremely close to being verified. These levels have hundreds of frame perfects, timings tighter than anything in the top 10, and gameplay so hard that if any of these were to be verified, they would be placed above Thinking Space 2 in a heartbeat. Many of these verifications are being live streamed, with tens of thousands of people waiting eagerly at the chance to see the next hardest thing be beaten right in front of their eyes. Every step that's made, every new best, gains thousands, even millions of views. This goes to show just how excited the community is to watch these incredible players do incredible things.
Hey,
Oh.
I was at a party, and
New top one just randomly got verified.
just verified GD's
W Pop-Off has officially won the top one race.
W Pop-Off just verified Society. Turns out Society just got verified.
So sorry, I told you.
What? Bro! No way! menace to society. Oh my god.
The players that stand at the top single-handedly redefine the human limit. Things that were once a struggle to new players is now muscle memory through thousands of hours of practice. A common misconception is that Geometry Dash is a rhythm game, but at a certain point, it turns into something else. It becomes a test of spirit. So, to answer the
Oh
question
guys, did you hear
of
one
how
of my
hard
levels
is
got like
Geometry
rated?
Dash,
Not like where it
it
has
is
the
as
low
hard
thing.
as humanly
No,
possible.
I'll show you. Look, I'll open Geometry Dash right now. I'll open it right now. So look, this is my channel. I verified it. And I somehow have friends. How long was I paused for? Because the video's ended. Anyways, go like and sub to this guy. He is an absolute W. Goodbye. Me bomba clap. But I'm trying